You have been told your whole life that you need 8 hours of sleep. Your parents told you. Your doctor told you. Every wellness article ever written told you. But here's the problem. The science doesn't actually support that number. In fact, one of the largest sleep studies ever conducted, published in the prestigious journal Nature Aging, looked at nearly 500,000 people and found that the real number is different. And if you're sleeping 8 hours thinking you're doing everything right, you might want to keep watching. Before we go any further, because this channel is called Curious&Verified, here is the source. The study is titled "The Brain Structure and Genetic Mechanisms Underlying the Nonlinear Association Between Sleep Duration, Cognition, and Mental Health." It was published in Nature Aging, April 28, 2022. The researchers were from two of the world's leading institutions, the University of Cambridge in the UK and Fudan University in China. The full link is in the description below. Everything in this video comes directly from this research. Now, let's get into it. 8 hours. It's one of those numbers that feels like a fact of nature, like the number of planets or the number of continents. But it isn't. The 8-hour recommendation was largely built on population-level averages from decades-old research. It became a health guideline, then a cultural norm, and eventually, for many people, a source of anxiety. The problem with population averages is simple. They don't account for individual biology. And as this study makes very clear, sleep is not one size fits all. So what does the data actually show? The researchers analyzed data from the UK Biobank, a large-scale biomedical database covering 498,177 participants between the ages of 38 and 73. This is not a small sample. This is nearly 500,000 people. Participants were assessed across 3 areas: cognitive performance, using 12 well-established neurological tests, mental health, and overall well-being. Brain imaging data was also available for close to 40,000 participants. And the finding was clear. 7 hours of sleep per night was associated with the highest levels of cognitive performance. Not 8, 7. The relationship followed what researchers call an inverted U-shape. Performance was highest at 7 hours and declined on both sides, whether people slept less or more than that. This pattern held across all age groups in the study, but it was especially consistent in middle-aged and older adults. Let's be specific, because the data here is striking. People who slept fewer than 7 hours showed measurable impairment across multiple cognitive domains, including memory, attention, processing speed, and problem solving. And the lower the sleep duration, the greater the effect. The study found that people sleeping 4 hours or fewer showed cognitive performance equivalent to someone who is approximately 8 years older. 8 years of cognitive aging from sleep alone. But here is the part that surprises most people. Sleeping more than 7 hours also showed declining performance. 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, all associated with reduced cognitive function compared to 7. The researchers were clear. Both insufficient and excessive sleep duration are linked to poorer outcomes. This is not about maximizing sleep. It's about finding the right amount. This study went further than most. Using brain imaging from nearly 40,000 participants, researchers found that individuals sleeping between 6 and 8 hours had significantly greater gray matter volume in 46 out of 139 different brain regions. These regions included the hippocampus, which is directly involved in memory, as well as the orbitofrontal cortex, which plays a role in decision-making and emotional regulation. Both short and long sleep durations were associated with smaller volumes in these critical areas. This means the impact of sleep on the brain isn't just functional, it's structural. The physical architecture of your brain is associated with how much sleep you get. The study also looked at mental health outcomes, and the findings followed the same pattern. Participants who slept significantly less than 7 hours reported higher levels of anxiety and depression. But so did those who consistently slept more than 7 hours. The researchers noted that the relationship between sleep and mental health is complex and likely bidirectional. Poor mental health can disrupt sleep. and disrupted sleep can worsen mental health. What the data does suggest is this: consistently sleeping around 7 hours was associated with the best self-reported well-being outcomes across the sample. One of the most important sections of this research involves genetics. The study found that genetic factors play a significant role in determining sleep needs and sleep quality. This helps explain why some people genuinely feel rested on 6 hours, while others struggle at 8. Sleep duration, like height or metabolic rate, is partly heritable. Previous research from the University of Pennsylvania identified a genetic variant called DEC2, carried by a small subset of the population, that allows those individuals to function optimally on fewer hours, without measurable cognitive impairment. The Cambridge study adds to this picture by showing that genetic mechanisms also influence the relationship between sleep and brain structure, meaning the optimal amount of sleep is not only individual, but partly encoded in your DNA. This does not mean you can simply decide you need less sleep. It means that a universal prescription of 8 hours was always an oversimplification. So, what does the research actually tell us to do? First, it does not say you should aim for exactly 7 hours and nothing else. The study identified a range. 6 to 8 hours was associated with significantly greater brain volume across key regions. 7 sits at the center of that range. Second, the quality of your sleep matters alongside the quantity. The study focused on duration, but the researchers acknowledged that sleep architecture, the stages you move through during the night, is an equally important area of research. Third, if you are consistently sleeping well under 6 hours or over 9 hours, the data suggests this warrants attention. Not panic, attention. And finally, the anxiety many people feel about hitting exactly 8 hours may itself be counterproductive. The research does not support 8 hours as a hard target. For most adults, somewhere between 6 and 8 hours, with 7 as a reasonable anchor, appears to be where the evidence currently points. Let's bring this back to where we started. 8 hours of sleep is not a scientific fact. It is a cultural norm that was derived from population averages and repeated so many times it became accepted wisdom. The research from Cambridge and Oxford, using data from hundreds of thousands of people and real brain imaging, tells a more nuanced story. 7 hours appears to be the point at which cognitive performance, mental health outcomes, and brain structure are all at their best. For most adults, most of the time. The science isn't telling you to sleep less. It's telling you that precision matters more than dogma. If you found this video useful, the full study is linked in the description. Free to read, peer-reviewed, and published in Nature Aging. If you have a question about the research or a topic you want us to cover next, leave it in the comments. Every video on this channel starts with a verified source. Subscribe if you want more, and we'll see you in the next one.